Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8. Welcome, Amanda James.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So, we are actually going to be finally getting to the last hour of Jodi's interrogation. And this is the hour that I've been waiting for. We are finally going to hear what happened to Travis, sort of,
hmm
according to
We're
Jodi.
finally getting to the truth.
The truth. Yes, exactly. So we are going to be listening to Detective Flores once again, and he's just desperately trying to get some type of story out of her, whatever the truth is going to be. Just wants to hear an admission. Jodi, it was you. Come on now. You can tell he's very frustrated.
Yeah, he's had it with her shit, and I don't blame him. But how many hours has this been now? We're on the
It's like about seven
what?
hours.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
poor man.
I know. I know he's been sitting there. So let's see what Jodi has to say.
Um, and a lot of their fights were about me, from what I gathered. I don't know a lot of that.
Is that what that email was about? Is the whole
Yeah.
situation?
We had that conversation, and I walked to work because I was, I just Purple Plum in my grandmother's house. It's being in Mesa, going to that is just it's ridiculous to drive when it's less than 10 minutes to walk, and gas prices here are almost $5. You're a motivational speaker.
So, right here, there's a cut in the interview, and I've tried to look at different sources to see maybe if there was something wrong with a particular video that I was looking at, but it's in every single one. So, it must be from the original footage. There's a skip there, but I don't think it's anything important. She's just rambling. So, I assume that from anything in between there, it's just going to be her talking some stupid story.
Yeah, I never even noticed it because she goes off in different directions so often. She'll go from talking about gas prices, like
Right.
now,
Right.
to whatever. So I didn't
Yeah.
even realize there was no um smooth continuation of it.
Yeah, there was just a slight pause there, and then you hear her talking about something else. So, yeah, she's just going off on something, filling up time. So, I'm curious, since you are our Jodi Arias expert, I'm curious if you know exactly what would have started his friends really not liking her, or what the reason behind that would be. Was it always like that? Or was it maybe they saw her as a bad influence, in particular when it came to Chris and Sky Hughes, and maybe that bled over into their friend group?
Yeah, I always thought that they gave Jodi a chance at first, and then when she proved to be a psycho and a stalker is when they thought things were getting really unhealthy. And maybe because Jodi talked about how they kind of tried to warn her away from Travis,
Mm-hmm.
like basically saying he's just using you for sex. I wouldn't want my sister to date Travis. He's going to do the same thing to you that he did to Deanna. I feel like that was just to try to get Jodi away from Travis, but
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily for her own sake, more for his sake.
Right.
Because if you remember, I mean, it wasn't just that she, was weird and clingy. She moved to Mesa after they broke up. That's
Right.
crazy. She hid under his Christmas tree. She snuck in through the doggy door. His tires were getting slashed, and they all knew it was Jodi.
I don't remember her hiding under the Christmas tree.
So that part of it must not have been like admitted into evidence or something, but there's a point during the trial when the psychologist or the doctor, like the psych doctor that the prosecution hired, mentioned her hiding under the Christmas tree. And there was an objection, and I believe it's because they, for some reason, decided that that shouldn't be admitted into court, but she mentioned it, but
Oh
they
my God,
wouldn't
I love
elaborate on the
that.
rest of the story. hmm
That's the first time that I've heard about that.
Yeah, I wish I had more info about it, but she apparently, um, allegedly, they
Right.
found her like hiding under his Christmas tree.
Oh my God. And they
Crazy
found her
thing.
there?
Apparently, like I said, I don't know the whole story, but that Janine DeMarte, the doctor, said they found her hiding under the
Okay,
Christmas tree.
gotcha. Oh my God, so they found her. That is so funny. I mean,
Hmm.
it's funny to
I think
hear
she was
because it's so
pretending.
crazy.
Yeah, I think she was pretending to sleep under the Christmas tree.
Oh my
She,
God.
and that wouldn't be the first time I've heard that. She pretended to sleep on, I think it was like a big beanbag chair thing. She called it the love sack.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I guess it was like out, she was cleaning Travis's house or watching his dog or something, and he went out on a date while she was there. And she fell asleep on the beanbag chair right outside of his bedroom door. She didn't mean to fall asleep. She accidentally just, she was exhausted. She
Right.
sat down, closed her eyes for a minute, and just happened to be sitting guard outside his bedroom door to see what time he got home and to make sure he came home alone.
Oh my
So that was a
God.
Jodi trick. Yeah. Oh, I
Right.
was just sleeping.
So what would her story be about being under the tree? That's
I don't
so
know.
weird.
I know. I would love to know more about it, but
Yeah,
it wasn't mentioned in court.
that is
I mean,
interesting.
it wasn't elaborated on in court.
Sure.
in Scottsdale, and we spent the day there. And when we were done, we drove to his house, but Deanna was there waiting for him for some reason to visit or something, and he was so scared that she would see him in my car that I practically had to keep the car rolling and kick him as I drove by his house. And he's like, "Don't even put it in park, just roll up real quick." And he jumped out and shut the door, and he's like, "No, go, go, go." So I was like, "Okay," and I just kind of laughed at that. That was August 18th.
So I see the type of relationship. I mean, it's exactly what I thought it was.
Well, his thing with Deanna was, and I don't think that he had anything physical going on with her. I don't know. I don't think so. I know that for a time there was, and then she's pretty strong in that category, I think, as far as her values and standards go.
So why this trip this time? I know you said he couldn't. He canceled on you even coming up here in the first part of June, right? Why did you end up going there then? Is it because he couldn't go and you guys still wanted to see each other?
Well, when his trip the second time got postponed, it was probably last week of May that it was kind of obvious that he wasn't going to come then. But he said, "Listen, after Cancun, I have like 2 weeks that I have nothing going on before I go to DC." And he's like, "I think that's the best time." He's like, "I'm going to see if it works out for my friends up north," which would have been Chad Perkins, his friend, and now his wife. "And we can do it all then." And I said, "All right," but at that time I was like, "Whatever. We'll see. I might just not see you till I go back to Utah when everyone convenes it. And which everyone's going to do at the end of the month."
So did he know you were coming the first part of June?
I wasn't even, like, I had been talking with Ryan at this point, and obviously there's a distance there, and that was difficult, and he really wanted to spend time with me, and I really wanted to spend time with him, and it just seemed like he had made a few comments, "When am I going to come out there?" And, I was like, as soon as you want, but I didn't think he was serious. And
Was this Ryan you're talking about?
Ryan Burns.
Yeah.
So finally, things began to work out at Casa Ramos with my schedule, which is the Mexican restaurant, and I have a 3-day weekend there. So I thought I'll take this opportunity and go see Ryan, and that was my intention.
What happened when you left? Why did you go the other way? That's my question, is why go to see Travis if you're going to see Ryan as well? And did Travis know you were coming? He knew? I saw you kind of shake your head a little bit at him.
This is hard.
It's okay. he know you were coming? Did you guys talk on the phone? What was the discussion about?
Gordon Hinckley mostly.
The last conversation you had?
The last long one. We talked a little bit prior to.
Did you guys talk when you were en route to Phoenix?
Yeah. Just briefly. Told him my phone was dying, which was true. I thought I left my charger in Monterey with Matt. I really honestly thought that I left my charger there, and I had been talking all day between just on the phone. I take lots of pictures of myself, and I know it's...
I noticed.
Because I'm kind of picky about it, and I guess I
Right.
take them and I'm like, delete, delete, delete. I will take like 20, I'll be like, delete, delete, delete.
Keep one.
Yeah, keep 2 or 3 or 1 or none, depending. And so I talked a little bit with John Dixon, who I was maybe going to go to San Diego. There's another place on the list there too.
That was in the same trip?
Yeah, it's a little ambitious, but I thought...
Gosh, that's like 2,800 miles.
It doesn't bother me, except I think I put like 2,400 miles in the car.
I can't stand it.
Was John Dixon somebody that she was interested in as well?
I don't remember. I'm not. I was just wondering who that is. I'm not familiar with that name. Yeah, maybe it was because she met Ryan Burns on like a Mormon dating site or something. Maybe this John Dixon was another Mormon she found and was chatting with.
Right. Yeah. For some reason that sounds familiar. Like Ryan wasn't the only one.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, yeah.
Well, that's very interesting then. She was like looking for a backup plan, a backup boyfriend, sort of, someone to
Sure.
move on to immediately. But if she was ready to move on with another man, then why why kill Travis? Why plan all that and go through with all of that if she was dating other guys anyway?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's something that's not going to follow logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be something that's going to make sense because committing murder is typically not going to be somebody's plan or somebody's plan when they're thinking logically and they're just going to move on. I think that Jodi and Travis had a very toxic tie to each other where he seemed to be very much into having an image. And you can see that in his lifestyle, the job that he had. It was, and even with him being a practicing Mormon, he wanted to present those types of values and that he was living those values so that he could find a wife and, have a marriage and go according to what his faith is saying. But he also had this other side where he's a guy in his 20s and he was interested in sex, obviously. And somebody like Jodi comes along and she's interested as well. And so they were able to have this really toxic tie between them. Of course, with Jodi being as weird and crazy, I guess you can call her, as she is, and doing the things that she did while she was there, like being found under a Christmas tree. That certainly is going to make it seem like Travis would tell her to go away too, but he was still in contact with her. They had this odd connection that obviously wasn't healthy and ended up not being healthy, unfortunately for him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she wasn't interested in just moving on instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love...
45 minutes somewhere.
Yeah, where are you flying out of?
Oregon.
Medford. Yeah, that's a good, just about an hour. Anyway, it's a pretty drive. So it was a little ambitious, but I like road trips, and sometimes I have a realistic view of things, unrealistic about my time, and I tend to show up a little later than expected, which is not unusual for me, but.
So he knew you were coming. He was expecting you. Now, obviously, you guys had, a little encounter, and is that when those pictures were taken? Did he even show you those pictures? It's gonna be hard, Jodi.
I feel really powerless in here. Do you know what my family is doing today? Do you know if they're good or?
I haven't talked to them today. I know they're worried about you. Everybody's just kind of in limbo right now.
Is there any?
So obviously there was nobody else at the house when you got there. His roommates were gone. Well, there was Napoleon, but
He's a person too.
yeah, I got to meet Napoleon.
He's so awesome.
But nobody else was there.
I think
He's so awesome. She left poor Napoleon with his owner dead, stuffed in the bathroom.
Yeah.
His friends who found him said Napoleon was going crazy when they showed up.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he downstairs though?
Yeah, I think there was like a baby gate
There
or a
was a
dog
gate.
gate.
Yeah, at the stairs.
Yeah, that kept him out of that. Right. But still, his owner was dead and couldn't feed him or give him water
Yeah.
or take him outside. Well, I guess there was a doggy door.
Mm-hmm.
But still, she just left Napoleon there to potentially starve. She didn't know. It was several days before they found Travis.
Right.
And I imagine his roommates didn't think, oh, I better feed Napoleon. Travis was there for that. They didn't even realize Travis wasn't around. I doubt they were paying
Right.
attention to the dog.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And also justice for Doggy Boy too.
That's right. How can she? He's a person too. She said Napoleon's a person too. Well, then Doggy Boy was too.
That's right. And you
And you
kicked him.
kicked him.
Yeah.
You think his roommates were there? Were there cars there? You would have had to have seen their cars. You parked in the driveway, right?
Yeah.
One roommate parks it in the garage and the other one parks outside.
Well, I know Zach would park on the street a lot when I lived there before. And he pulled his car into the garage whenever he would work on it.
What makes you think his roommates were there?
I asked him.
What did he say? Who was home?
He said they were there. But I don't know who. The reason I asked, because it's kind of an indication of how quiet we have to be.
What time was that? Do you remember what time you rolled in?
3 o'clock a.m. Still dark,
Wednesday morning?
I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're pretty sneaky. You go up there and your roommates doesn't even know that you're there.
I do that many, many, many nights.
How did they not see your car?
I don't know. I was parked.
Oh, you know what? Zach was house sitting for his girlfriend. His girlfriend was on a trip with, was on a cruise with her parents, and he was staying the night at, I think he stayed the night at,
That makes sense because I want to say that his roommate, he said his roommate was home, but I don't remember, but I think he said one roommate was home.
Enrique, he gets up about 5:30,
And if I'm
6
correct,
o'clock in
then
the morning.
Enrique has the room that shares the wall with Travis's room. Which is like,
Yes,
and you know, it's a KB home. Travis always says the walls are really, really thin.
yes. They skimp on that part. Yeah, so Enrique was home, so he went about 2 or 3 in the morning. But he gets up about 6, and no, he leaves the house about 6 in the morning. And he didn't notice anything different. Did you guys spend the whole day together then? That following day? Did you guys go anywhere? Just stayed in the house?
Slept.
Well, after a long trip, I'd sleep too.
Travis stayed up all night waiting. He was watching something on YouTube. Some stupid video. He's like, you gotta see this. And I'm watching it, I'm like, this is so boring. I was like, what? I was like, what's the point of that? And he's like, just stupid, pointless stuff. I'm like, okay. I guess everyone's gotta have their time to veg out. Being so driven and deep as he is, portrays himself to be, it's just funny that he watches stuff like that. It wasn't anything profane or bad or vulgar. It was just like people like dancing, but they had like boxes of foil on their head, and it was just like weird, like robotic kind of music.
The pictures that I showed you of you laying on a bed and stuff, is that when those were taken that day?
Yeah, we also made a video. We deleted it
Video on
on his camera.
on that camera.
Did you get it?
Videos are hard to get once they're erased. They take up so much room.
Yeah.
And whereas pictures are a little different. What happened after that? What went wrong? I know that the last photos of him were taken about 5:20, 5:30. And you said he doesn't like you to take pictures of him and stuff.
He was very private about the shower. Like we.
Is that why you were taking pictures of him in the shower?
No. No.
Trying to get back at him.
No.
I'm surprised he allowed you to take pictures of him in the shower. The first few looked like he wasn't too comfortable, but obviously whatever you were saying to him made him a little more comfortable.
I remember all that pretty clearly.
You remember that? What went wrong? Did he say something to you? Were you angry about something? Were you frustrated? What was it? Something happened at that point, and I don't know what it was.
What are they going to do with the rental car? Are they going to bring it here?
Why would that be her question after what he was just saying?
Because she wants to talk about anything but what happened.
Yeah, and I think also she's also running through her mind what else they know and what other evidence they're going to have. And obviously the rental car is perhaps going to have some evidence in there. That's probably what
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it did, or she removed evidence from it. She think the floor mats were missing
Oh,
when she
okay.
returned it.
Right.
And they said they found, yeah, they said they found um, red stains in the rental car. I don't know if it was blood. They said it looked like Kool-Aid.
Okay.
So there was something in there.
And the license plate was upside down as well because she got pulled over.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Jeez.
Which is odd. I mean, do you think she put the license plate on upside down on purpose so it would be harder to read the plate? Or do you think she had taken it off? Because in some states it's not illegal to have just one plate. So I wonder if she had
Right.
taken it off.
Yeah.
I think it was the front plate.
I don't know. I don't know. Was it the front or was it the back?
I thought it was the front because she said that it was covered in bugs, like,
Okay. Right.
so
Yeah.
I I don't know if she did that on purpose or if she was just trying to quickly put it back on and she's dumb or was panicking
Mm-hmm.
and put it on upside down by mistake.
Yeah. That's a pretty big mistake. Like you think you would notice that it's upside down as you're doing it, but maybe she didn't.
Yeah, maybe.
There were several photos of him, and the last one that we have is him sitting in the shower. And that's when I think it happened. He was sitting down, looking up at you. What did you do?
It's interesting that he said that it happened when he was sitting down, and that would make sense because he would be even more disarmed in that position than he would be standing.
Yeah, I wonder if she told him to sit down because she was
Right.
taking pictures, so she was like directing him
Yeah.
on what to do.
Yeah,
And
that
yes,
makes sense.
he would definitely be, yeah, more vulnerable if he was sitting down.
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know. I guess I never even considered that he would be sitting down. I always imagined that he was standing. And especially that one shot with him looking at her, with the water on his face. And
Yeah.
it was thought that that's maybe when she kind of started, um, her attacker perhaps was showing a weapon and he kind of looked, maybe startled or a little bit confused.
Hmm.
But
It
maybe
did,
that's
that
not.
picture looked, yeah, it looked like he had just turned around.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always the impression I got, that he, like, his back was towards her and she said something and he turned around and something surprised him.
Yeah.
What happened, Jodi? We've gone this far. Did you plan on doing that the whole time? Then why? Tell me. I don't believe you planned it. But then I don't understand why. Why you took a gun with you?
Oh, I didn't.
Where does that gun from then? Where did you get it? Everybody says he didn't have one. Where did you get it? If you didn't take it. Did he have one in the house?
Not to my knowledge.
Then where did you get it? Did you bring it with you? Did you get it there in Arizona?
I didn't ever have it, actually. I didn't like have it in my possession.
Then who had it? If you had it and Travis didn't have it, then who had it? Jodi, please.
I can't.
Why not? Are you protecting somebody else? Why would somebody else do this?
I don't know.
Did someone catch you there? Someone not expecting you to be there?
They would have seen my car.
Then who was it?
I don't know their names. Listen, I can tell you. I can tell you everything that I know or that I remember.
Okay. What do you remember? From the time you were taking the pictures to the time you left. What happened? What happened after that last picture was taken? You have to tell me. If you want me to believe that somebody else was there, you have to show me. You have to explain to me what happened. Otherwise, it was just you. And if that's the case, that's okay. That's okay as well.
It's better if everyone thinks that.
If everyone thinks that it was just you. No, it's not.
It is really no idea.
I do have
No,
an
you
idea.
have no idea.
You're going through your own things right now. If somebody else was there with you, we need to know that. Why would somebody do that? Just because you're there with Travis?
They didn't say.
Hmm?
They didn't say.
He didn't say?
All right, everybody, grab a buddy, drink, whatever you need to get through this because you're about to hear a story. Are you ready, AJ?
I'm ready. Very
Okay.
convincing story, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm all in at this point. So I'm going to believe she looks very upset. I don't think that she's faking that. So I'm ready. I'm ready to believe.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
What was the first thing they did to him? You were there. You saw it. What was the first thing
I
you
actually
saw?
didn't see it. I heard it first.
Was there an argument? No?
Not between Travis and I.
Any argument between anybody?
Is there any way I can see those pictures?
No, not right now.
Can I see them soon? I will.
You need to start letting me know what happened.
Okay.
You're telling me that some other people were there. You know how much that concerns me?
I don't know who they were, but they know where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Or they know where my parents are, or I don't know if they know where my grandparents are, but they got my address, and they know where my family is.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So you're trying to say you're doing this to protect your family? Why would someone do this to you and to him?
I don't think they really intended to do anything to me.
You're saying somebody followed you all the way to Arizona from here?
No, I don't think. I think I was an element of surprise for them.
You were an element of surprise? So they didn't expect
I'm
you
guessing.
to be there?
I don't think so.
They didn't expect you to be there?
I mean, they had to have seen my car.
Is it someone who lives in Mesa locally?
I didn't recognize any of them.
Well, you have to give me a motive. Why would they do this? Were they going after Travis? For what reason?
Collect your thoughts, Jodi. So, have you ever heard of the idea of the vanishing perpetrator?
No.
It's something that I heard about. I was watching some videos by a group of people called the Behavior Panel. And they primarily look at body language and stuff like that. And I think I came across them when they were looking at the Chris Watts body cam footage and all the tells that he was giving. Pretty obvious, right? I think everybody knew from watching his news interview and when that body cam came out and all of that. It's so obvious with his behavior that there was a lot wrong there. But the vanishing perpetrator is something that they bring up a lot. It's the person who really did it. They don't know who they are. They're a witness who was allowed to stay alive like Jodi. They've never seen it before. They can't name them. They can't really describe them either. There's also no evidence of this person ever existing, meaning there's no DNA, there's no footprints, fingerprints, nothing. But they're the ones who are really guilty, not the person who's sitting across from Detective Flores. And you see that a lot, and I've been noticing a lot. For example, with Chandler Holderson, when we get to him, there was also a vanishing perpetrator there as well. His parents went missing. They went with a couple that he didn't know, had never seen them before. His parents never mentioned them. While, of course, his parents were not the type of people to do that. They communicated everything, especially his mother. So, you know, the guilty people are always faceless and nameless. There's also no evidence of them ever being there. So it's really interesting, of course, that now, of course, it's coming up for Jodi. The people who are really guilty, I'm so afraid of them. They allowed me to leave, to be a witness to this horrific murder. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, you can go. Just let me warn you, though. If you say one thing, I'm going to come get you. Does that make any sense?
I'm going to come get you, right, even though I will be in prison because you will have identified me and I will have been arrested.
Right.
So how could she feel unsafe? And of course, she's in a position, if there really was somebody who was threatening her and knew where she lived or whatever, they could be protected. by the
Sure.
police or whatever. No person in their right mind would witness a horrible murder of somebody they loved and then just say, well, they know where my grandmother lives. I better not say anything. I better
Yeah.
act like everything is just fine. And I just went on a
Mhm.
little road trip.
Right.
But I know what
Exactly.
you mean about the vanishing perpetrator. I think Jodi even says to to this detective, actually, well, it's not like we can ever even find them. I
Yeah.
didn't get a good look at them. Oh,
Right.
you know who else said it
Hmm.
was Jesse Smollett. Remember
Yes.
that
Yes.
guy? The actor who set up his friends to
Hmm.
like do a fake hate crime on him or whatever.
Yes.
He even said that in an interview, and it came off almost like don't even bother looking to find them. How could we ever
Hmm.
find them?
Right.
And that would be the opposite reaction for somebody who was a victim or witnessed something horrible. They would be remembering every last detail
Yeah.
about the guilty parties.
Yeah. And you know who else did it too was Sherry Papini, her kidnappers.
Oh, mm-hmm.
She was able to.
Didn't she spend like several days with them?
Oh yeah. Well, she was able to give the sketch artist descriptions of two women. And so they were able to draw somebody, but they never existed, obviously. She was with her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so just a slightly different, but giving these types of descriptions that are really non-descriptions, basically. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting when you start thinking about this idea of the vanishing perpetrator. You can see it come up so often in these interrogations because they can't be guilty. It's that 1 in a million shot. It's a 1 in a million. I'm that one unlucky person who left the bloody fingerprint on the hallway mixed with Travis's blood, but it wasn't me. Definitely wasn't me.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's interesting. You'd think people would understand by this point that everybody is going to leave something behind,
Right.
some clue, some evidence that they were there.
Hmm.
And there's nothing. These people, these ninjas, in addition to being ninjas, they must have been geniuses and like wearing sterile suits or something.
Yeah.
And the police combed every inch of that house.
Hmm.
They would have found something. But Jodi, in her mind, I think she's thinking like, well, prove there weren't other people there. You can't prove it.
Sure. Right, exactly. But Jodi, you can't prove anybody else is there either because
Mm-hmm.
you can't describe who these people are. And again, I think even more so, the fact that there's no evidence. That is an extremely bloody crime scene, and there's nothing there that indicates that there was another person.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me this, but you give me no reason.
They didn't discuss much. They just argued
About what?
about whether or not to kill me
For what reason?
because I'm a witness
A witness of what?
of him, of Travis.
Of Travis's murder.
Yeah, but I didn't really witness it. Didn't see much.
Okay.
I just oh,
You need to make this believable because it is not believable to me right now.
What? It
You need
isn't?
to give me something.
okay. I just listen.
I am listening,
Yeah,
Jodi.
I
I
know,
am listening,
I'm
and
just
it doesn't
saying.
make any sense to me.
It's fine because my family will.
Well, help us protect your family. If that's the case.
They got my driver's license. It has a PO box on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they got my registration out of my purse, which was in the purse that I was using at the time. And it has my parents' address on it.
Why would they do this? You see where I'm coming from? Why? What kind of beef did they have with him? Or was it with you? Or
They're,
you need to make this believable. People just don't
Did
go
they
and say,
memorize her parents' address, or did they write it down? Because her parents lived in another state, right? Didn't they
Yes.
live in California or something? I mean, you could tell me your address right now, and 3 minutes later, I'm going to forget.
Sure, absolutely. There's no other reference point for you to remember it.
Hmm.
It would just be a
Right.
random, I mean, who's going to remember Wairika, California? What's the zip code? I have no idea. What's the street? I don't know. Just looking at it, and especially considering they're there arguing, they're there to commit a murder, and they just take out your registration and they're like, boop, photographic memory. I've got you. I know who you are. I know who your
Yeah.
family is, just from looking
They
at
just take,
that.
right. They just take a quick peek at it
Mm-hmm.
and know that that is her parents' address
Mm-hmm.
somehow. It could be an old address. How many people have an old address on their license or registration or whatever that they
Sure.
haven't used, that they haven't lived at for, however long?
Sure.
But that's enough evidence, or that's enough of a threat to keep her quiet and lying to the police.
Yeah, because
It's
they
just, she
glanced at
really should have
it.
put more thought. Hmm. She should have put more thought into it. This story sucks.
The story sucks. We are not amused.
No.
And kill somebody for no reason and then let a witness go. That doesn't happen. They've already killed one person. Why not just take care of the other?
Well, yeah,
You know who they are if you're telling me the truth.
I don't know them.
Then I don't believe you either. And I can't. You can't expect me to.
Okay.
I
Here's what
I
happened.
want to.
I wasn't planning on going to Travis's house. I was gonna go to Santa Cruz. Well, I wasn't even planning to go to Santa Cruz. I was gonna go to Monterey, but by the time I called Matt, he's like, "We're in Santa Cruz. Meet us here." And I said, "Okay." So I went to the Red Room there, just to kind of hang out for the locals. So many younger kids our age, sort of 20-somethings and 30-somethings. And I stayed the night in Monterey that night. Got up the next morning and visited with Daryl and his son before he went to school. Drove, this was Tuesday, the 3rd, and I driving to LA, hadn't heard back from Laura yet, but that's what it was. It wasn't until I got to LA where I thought, I was looking at my map, and Utah wasn't really on there, but, I mean, Arizona, but because it was to Utah, the MapQuest directions I printed. Okay, I just see, like, I've seen The Sopranos, and they're not mafia or anything, but
I, as many times as I've listened to this, I never caught that before. I've seen The Sopranos, and you didn't watch enough of The Sopranos, Jodi, because your story sucks.
Exactly. Yeah. They weren't mafia. How do you know?
Then
Maybe
why are
they
you
weren't.
right? And if they're not, why are you bringing up The Sopranos then? If it had nothing to do with the perpetrators,
Right.
it'd be like saying, I've seen the Ninja Turtles, and they weren't turtles. But
Right, exactly.
like, okay, then what the fuck? You just want to talk about The Sopranos? I wouldn't be surprised if she just went off on a tangent about The Sopranos instead of what they're supposed to be talking about.
Talking at least about an episode. I saw this one time. Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. Well, everybody involved with the mafia can rest easy because Jodi just eliminated all of you as suspects here.
Yeah, they're definitely not the mafia. If she had any creativity, she would have said they were like part of the Mormon mafia, which
Oh,
probably exists.
it could. It could.
Or
Yeah.
she could have made that up. Travis was murdered for sinning. He was
Mm-hmm.
living a life of sin, and the Mormon mafia got him. Anything would be better than this random people came in to kill Travis
Yeah,
for
exactly.
nothing. They didn't take anything. They didn't take his money. They just killed him and then let Jodi go.
Yeah.
I honestly, there's a part of me inside that thinks they're never going to come after my family.
Well, from what you're telling me and from what I know about Travis and all his dealings, there's no reason anybody would go after him. Nothing. So what you're telling me about 2 people coming in, or however many people coming in and taking care of him and letting you go, just so far-fetched. I can't believe it. Why would they do this to him? What were they arguing about? What did they say? Their details.
They didn't say a lot. They were white Americans from what I could tell. They had, what do you call those things? They're like beanies, but they cover your whole face. And you've got like holes for your nose and in your mouth, in your eyes. And one was black. I think they were both black, or maybe dark blue or something. Anyway, it wasn't until I was in LA and Laura wasn't getting back to me and it was already like 9 something that I was like, maybe I will just go see Travis briefly. And I called Ryan and said, my phone was about to die. And I tried getting hold of Matt. I got his voicemail. I was going to ask him if my charger was there and if he could save it or mail it or something. So I had a wall charger, I think, and I was just going to charge it later, I guess, when I got somewhere. Anyway, I did call Travis and I said, guess what? And he said, what? I said, I'm coming to Arizona tonight. And there was silence, and he goes, really? And I said, yeah. Well, what made you change your mind? And I just said, because I think I just told him I missed him or something. But I would have said, because you're too compelling, but like, he's already got a big enough head and that stuff. So I showed up, and he was watching YouTube on his computer, on his laptop in the office. We watched that for a little while, and he was very happy to see me. Napoleon barked, but he always barks when somebody walks in, and then Napoleon was really happy to see me. He gets so excited, his whole body jiggles. Yeah. And I just do this thing to his butt where you just kind of push him on the side, and he goes around in circles over and over and over until he realizes, hey, stop with me in circles. So it was a good reunion. We went, I told him I was tired, I think, because I don't know what his intentions were, or what he thought my intentions were at the time, like if we were going to do anything, but I was very exhausted from the trip, and I just said, look, I think I'm just going to sleep for a little while, and he said, that's fine. So I had slept pretty well the day before, but I was tired from driving all night, so I slept, and he slept, and we must have slept till about 1.
In the afternoon?
Must have been around then. His roommate was home when I got there. I'd never see his roommate though, so I think I was asleep by the time he thought I'd been left. Okay, if you don't believe me, that's okay.
I'm trying to.
I'm just saying
really
that,
hard.
it sounds to me like I'm already in the system. Pretty far in. I'm not getting out anytime soon, and as long as the rap falls on me, I think that
it's not good. Don't do this.
No, I'm just.
How ridiculous. Who would ever say that? I'm already in the system. I didn't do this crime that will get me put in prison for the rest of my life, possibly get me executed. I didn't do it. But I'm already in the system, and you're not going to find the guys who did it. And, the important thing is keeping my family safe. I'll sacrifice the rest of my life for something that I did not do to keep my family from possibly being killed. How ridiculous and unrealistic. A person in that situation would be desperate to find the people who did it, not only to get themselves out of trouble and to get justice for their loved one who they just witnessed, being brutally murdered, but also to keep their family safe. I mean, if somebody was out there that killed Travis and knows her address, knows her parents' address, she's just going to go to prison and let those people stay out there. How does she know they won't hurt her family anyway?
Oh,
How does she know
definitely.
they're not going to, you know, it's just crazy. She really didn't give any of this much thought. All the time she's been sitting there silently, wasting the detective's time. You'd think she'd be coming up with a better story and a
Yeah.
better plan.
The issue that she's having is that they're
And
not
she
letting her
really,
see the pictures either. That's why she
she
keeps
almost
asking.
said, yeah, she almost said to the detective when that the last time when she desperately said, "Is there any way I can see those pictures?" She started to say something like, "I'll tell you what happened after you show me the pictures." She
Oh,
didn't,
right.
you know, fully say that, but
Sure.
I think that's what she was about to say.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. That's what she was doing.
And well, I know, I'm sure she caught. Well, I think the detective actually interrupted her.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been interesting to hear her say that, because how do you explain that? Like,
Yeah.
why do you need to see the pictures before you tell me the truth
Right.
if you're
Other
not just
than
coming up with a
to,
story?
right, other than to see what you see so that I can then
Hmm.
formulate a story that works around that. And while she was going off on this, I actually was thinking, was there something wrong with this video? Because she went off on one right there. She just starts talking then about the beginning of her trip again. Didn't it seem confusing?
Um, yeah, but it's hard to keep up with her anyway,
Yeah,
because
it is.
she'll go off on one over the tiniest little thing just
Mm-hmm.
to keep talking. But I think we've said this before, but it's interesting when she's telling a story about something inconsequential, she is so eager to talk and talk and talk. And then
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to anything important, she goes silent.
Yeah.
And I think she really screwed herself. She really screwed herself in this interview, especially in this portion. And she wasn't smart enough to see it, because when she was just describing the beginning of her trip and her phone call with Travis, and she remembered it nearly word for word. She remembered the video he was watching when she showed up at the house. She
Yeah.
remembered playing with Napoleon. Like, she laid all that. She has a very good memory, and I think we see that in the trial too.
Yes.
She has that a remarkable memory, I would say.
Yeah.
But then she goes on to tell the story, and she can't remember these incredibly important details. Like, I mean, I've never witnessed a horrible crime, of course, but I would think that if that was a true story, if somebody came in, you know, some invaders came in and killed somebody I loved, I would remember every word they said for the rest of my life, or at least remember a, you know, particular phrases or anything. But everything she says is very vague. They were arguing. They um you know, they didn't know I was there. Like, she doesn't quote anything they said. And
Right.
if you listen to stories from like real victims or people who witnessed the crime, that's just not how they tell the story. They
Sure.
don't summarize it and say, well, they were arguing. They'll say, he said this, she said that, then they did this, and they, you know, they tell the story as it actually happened.
Yeah. I know that there's one roommate from the Idaho student murders who was home at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and she said that she saw him, Brian Koberger, in
Mm-hmm.
their house, and she remembers his eyes
Mm-hmm.
specifically, and those are the types of things. Like, I can understand being in shock. I can understand, I don't know, perhaps having that that traumatic event not erased from memory, but locked away in a sense, But it seems to me like there's gonna be at least something. And obviously her whole story, it falls apart from the very beginning. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Her motivation for wanting to protect these murderers doesn't make any sense. She's not protecting her
None.
family. And it's obviously something that we can see throughout this interrogation, also with her trial, is she's not an unintelligent person. She's very smart, And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for her to not be able to, you know, recount anything at all. Even down to, you know, something, what did they say? What was happening to Travis? You know, she will give details when she's asked for them, but none of them make sense because she's formulating
Mm-hmm.
them, it seems like, as she's going along. She may have had somewhat of a framework to her story um, before this point, because it seems like that's kind of the way that she was going, because, you know, in earlier videos we were talking about how she would almost be on the edge of getting there, and the detectives would think, she's going to tell us now. She's going to tell us now. She's almost admitting, yeah, I was there. But then she would say something, well, whoever did this. And they're
Right.
just like, oh, okay, never mind. um, but yeah, so I think she's coming up with a story too, because she also has somewhat limited information of what they see at the crime scene in order to make it support the story that she's trying to tell of what happened to him.
Right. I just feel like she could have made up some better details to make
Mm-hmm.
it more believable, because the other stories she tells when she's talking about unimportant things, she includes so much detail, so much unnecessary detail.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, down to what kind of drink she got from Starbucks, because she always gets that drink. And then she got her nails done and she always gets French tips, you
Mm-hmm.
know, just like silly, unimportant things. And maybe, you know, like you were saying about traumatic moments, might kind of put you in shock and it's hard to remember, it's blurry, or it's locked away. And I'm sure different people process that differently. But in my own personal experience, at least, and I mean, I never witnessed anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I think back to the scariest time in my life, I was a child. I was like 9 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember every word.
Mm-hmm.
I remember every second of it. I remember every little detail.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think when you're terrified, your senses are like heightened
Sure.
to, you know, you get that adrenaline rush and you're in survival mode, and everything is very vivid and like
Mm-hmm.
amplified.
Yeah.
And again, not to say it's like that for everybody, but I think that's kind of the way our brains work for the most part. So her whole amnesia story, or just like remembering vague bits and pieces about it, it just doesn't make any sense. And I mean, now we know, of course, it's because it was a lie, it was bullshit.
Yes.
But the detective asked her at the beginning of this, what was the first thing they did to him? And that's a really good question, because that could have, you know, helped solidify her story and convinced him. If she just replaced what she did with what they did.
Yes.
Did they stab him first? But she said, I don't know. I didn't see it. I just heard it. She was right next to him.
Yeah.
How is that even possible? According to her, she was crouched down in front of the shower that he was in, taking pictures of him.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it even possible that she didn't see anything?
Right. There's two other people in a very small space.
Hmm.
You know, the shower is just a stall. It's not the tub. So they're all crowded around. There's four people, and you have no idea what happened.
Yeah, in the bathroom. I think that is the story she goes on to tell, is that she heard a loud noise and then she got hit on the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
So these ninjas snuck into the bathroom without either of them hearing two people walk up the stairs into the hall, into the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't happen to see them out of their peripheral vision or anything.
Have you ever seen Mission Impossible? There's ropes. You can propel
Oh,
yourself down where nobody's gonna hear anything. They're not even gonna know that you're there when you're really
that would
good.
have been a more that would have been a more believable story.
Right.
And she said
Oh,
they descended
exactly.
from ropes in the ceiling. At least then she could have gone for like an insanity defense.
That is true. Yeah, she may have been able to get that.
Thing. I think that as long as that is, there's less of a chance that my little brother is going to be hurt, or my mom or my dad or my sister that live there.
Okay, we'll continue with the story.
Jodi, you hate those people, by the way. Maybe she forgot that she hates her family.
Yeah, especially her mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you know that Detective Flores spoke to her parents?
I did, and from what I remember, they said that she was a liar and they didn't believe anything she had said to them since she was like 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I remember from their conversation. But
yeah. They actually had interviews in the same room, sitting in Jodi's chair, actually. And they did them separately, but I just came across those videos today. They're short. They're only a couple of minutes. But her mom was saying that after Travis's death, they had almost the best relationship that they've ever had.
wow.
And she was
I'll have to
thinking
watch
that,
this.
yeah, I'll send them to you. They are just a couple of minutes. But she was saying that, like, as far as them communicating and all of that, not necessarily being close or something, but she was thinking that maybe because Travis died, that it made her realize that life is short and to appreciate, the relationships that are still here and all of that. And, obviously it turns out, I mean, they were both, I didn't listen completely to her father's, but her mom was obviously very confused. She's like, did she do it? I don't know. Could she do that? So it's pretty interesting. I mean, what a horrific thing for, obviously the family, for the person who was lost, but also to have a family member who committed a crime like that when you wouldn't have known them to ever do that. It would be shocking.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what would be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like from a parent's point of view, I mean, I suppose having your child killed is worse because they're
Sure.
gone forever.
Yes.
But having your child be a monster, a cold-blooded monster, that is maybe not equally horrible, but I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I mean, unless the parents become accomplices after the fact, like Brian Laundrie's mom, where their families are getting sued at this point because she possibly may have known that Gabby was dead prior to, the confirmation. And I was just thinking of another one too. Oh, there was a young girl. I can't remember her name. Tristan Bailey. She was a cheerleader, and her friend stabbed her to death. And his name's Aiden. I'm going to say his name wrong. Aiden, I can't remember his last name. I want to say it sounds like Fauci. But his mom helped him, like, wash clothes and stuff when he came home.
Oh,
Do you remember hearing that?
I think I'm not super familiar with that one, but I do remember hearing something about it. They were like teenagers.
They
you
were
said, right?
teenagers.
Or they were
Yes.
young.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
She like washed his jeans that had blood on them or
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And I mean, the instinct to protect your kid is really strong. Not that I'm excusing it or saying, of course it's not okay. But I mean, I think a lot of parents' first thought might be, shit, how am I going to get my kid out of this? How am I going to save them? And they're going to think up reasons why it was an accident or they were driven to do this. And I'm sure it is very hard to accept that your kid just sucks and they're a murderer and just a bad person. Nobody wants to think that.
Yeah. It's just like Chris Watts' parents, as well.
Yeah, they blamed Shanann.
Yeah.
They essentially blamed her and said, like, she was awful. She drove him to it. And of course, that's horrible and evil, especially because he killed the little girls.
Yes, they're grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think sometimes, and this holds true, I think, for defense attorneys too, is that whoever's on the side or associated with the defendant, they're villainized in the same way as the defendant is sometimes. The families are threatened, they're hated just for being there. And not even talking about these other people who, like I was saying, become an accomplice after the fact and like destroying evidence or helping them to lie, or anything like that, but just happen to be there completely innocent. I think really end up getting a bad rap too. And I think perhaps Jodi's family was like that. I didn't, hear that specifically. I don't recall that anyway, but I would imagine so. I mean, if she's hated in the public eye, especially with the way that the media was handling the case and how big it was, I can imagine that her family, would have been catching the brunt of some terrible things as well.
Yeah, it happens all the time, like with Casey Anthony's mother or her parents. They were looking desperately for the little girl, and I think it was clear they had absolutely nothing to do with it, but they got tons of shit just for being Casey Anthony's parents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was watching a TED Talk done by the mother of one of the Columbine shooters, one of
Yes,
those
I
boys.
remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Dylan's mom, and she said she got, death threats. People said horrible things to her. It was a really interesting talk because, she's talking about how her son committed this horrible crime, but he's still her son, and she loves him, and and she feels guilty for loving him. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a very complicated position to be in, especially emotionally.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
About 1 o'clock.
yeah, we had sex a couple of times. Once was in his bed, and once was again downstairs in his office. And I don't know what he was looking at some pictures that I had brought for him. But he has a virus on his computer, so when you click the start menu on Windows XP or newer, 2000 or whatever, you have like my music, my pictures, my computer.
Yeah.
You can usually click on my computer and then go to the disk drive and open that. You'd click the Windows and it would come up, but none of those my this music, computers, picture, or whatever, none of that would come up. So he had some kind of virus that he was dealing with, and then his screensaver was a bunch of little bugs eating up his screen. It was just weird. And he said that was from the virus too. I was like, that's a cute screensaver. He's like, yeah, it's my stupid virus. So, for some reason that was frustrating for both of us because we couldn't look at the pictures. And they were from a lot of our church history trips, which are on my other external drive, which I haven't been able to access for a long since after Christmas because it just quit. And I just haven't had the money to spend to get all that stuff back.
So you guys worked with that for a while, or?
Yeah, we had 3 discs, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 3. And
So what time is this now? You guys are messing with the computer?
I don't really remember. It was after we had done
A couple hours or an hour or so later?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Afternoon. I just, he had been cleaning his house. So I wasn't sitting on the couch. Usually I would just chill on the couch downstairs, if no one was home. But he had like chairs and all that stuff all over the couch. He was cleaning the floors or something. Fed Napoleon. I don't know if he made phone calls or not, or what he was doing on the internet, but at one point he was going to go up and take a shower, and it took a lot of convincing prior when he was shaving. I was like, I got some ideas, and they didn't turn out good at all, not like I wanted to. But I thought that I could get some cool pictures of him shaving. It's because he does the whole old-fashioned thing with like this little, I don't know how it works. He liked it though, apparently, because he used it for his profile picture on MySpace. So those didn't turn out as good. I was gonna do that again later, but I asked him if I could do pictures of him in the shower, and he's like, no. And I was like, I just have an idea. I have a couple ideas. And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I said, I saw this thing in a Calvin Klein ad once that looked really good. And so he was, you're right, he wasn't very comfortable at first. He's standing there and he's all, I feel gay.
He has that look on his face, though.
So some I deleted and some I kept taking. And some he looked really good, I thought. The one that you showed me yesterday of him looking right at you, I think that's a great picture. He hates it. I don't know what he hates about that. I think it's a very good picture of him.
So you were taking pictures and showing them?
Yeah. He's all, let me see, I'm chilling. His shower door was open, and his water pressure in that shower isn't that great, so it's not like water was going everywhere.
What happened when the last picture was taken?
He was kneeling down in the shower. I don't remember him. If this is his shower and the sink is over here, I was like right here taking pictures. And I don't really know what happened after that exactly, except I think he was shot.
Where were you?
If this is his shower and he's sitting here, I was like, well, if this is his shower and he's sitting here, I was like right here on my knees, and his bathtub was right here, and I was taking him here, and I was just going through the pictures, and I heard this loud ring. And I don't really remember except Travis was screaming. I think I got knocked out, but I don't think it was that long. I know I got knocked in the head, and I've gotten knocked in the head once by my dad when he was just really mad, and it wasn't like, actually it wasn't, he didn't knock me in the head, he just pushed me against the wall and I hit my head and I fell. But in this case, I think it was similar because he was screaming and I was by the bathtub. And he was holding his head, and there were two people there, and
What'd you say?
I remember putting my hand on his back because he was on all four of his knees. He was like on his knees like this, doing something like this or something like, I don't know. And I was like, are you okay? What's going on? What's going on? He's like, go get help, go get help. And I said, okay. And I turned around, there were two people there. One was a guy and one was a girl. I couldn't tell that at first, but you could just see one was a girl, and I assumed the other was a guy because their build, and then their voices. I don't remember what they were wearing, like maybe jeans.
What did they say?
One was in all black, one was in jeans.
Did they say anything?
Yeah, the girl wanted to kill me too.
What did she say?
Like,
What words did you hear? What phrases?
who is that? Who is that? I thought he was by himself or alone or something, and he was like, shut up, just finish it, and Travis was screaming the whole time. He wasn't screaming like a girl, he was just like he was in pain, like he was like shocked, like, oh, you know. He wasn't really moving though, he was just staying kind of still on the floor.
Then what happened?
Well, as soon as he said go get help, and I turned around and they were there, and
Where were they?
they were in the bathroom.
Where at the bathroom? Not in the
The
hallway
girl
or in the
was-
bathroom?
The girl was in the hallway, kind of. And the guy was more toward in the bedroom, but like still in the bathroom, like on the tile carpet area, right there where it starts.
Okay.
And he started coming in toward the bathroom too, and
What'd you do?
it was,
What happened? What happened, Jodi? What did you see?
I took it out like a little bitch.
You took off?
I ran, and he stopped me when
He stopped you?
and Travis, he was he was still like conscious and still alive, and
But you just left him there.
no, I ran into the closet because there's 2 doors, and they were sort of in the hallway already, and he stopped me, and he didn't touch me. He was just held the gun to my head, and he was like, "You don't go anywhere," and he told the other girl to finish it. I didn't see, but he was like, I don't think he was saying a lot, but
What happened?
he told me to stay there and not to move.
And where was that? In the closet?
No, it was like this. Sorry.
Here, let me see. It's his bedroom. Okay, and then you got the long hallway down to his bathroom, the sink. And then you have the closet here.
Mhm.
And then you have his shower. And then the bathtub right there. And then there's the
Toilet, bathroom.
toilet right there. Okay, this is the sink. Then his bedroom is, actually there's a closet door there.
Mhm.
His bedroom.
Yes, exactly. And so his closet is kind of like this. So I ran this way because he was walking this way and she was already right here. And then he stopped me here and he said, "Don't move." And Travis was here or somewhere whereabouts, and he left the room for a minute. And I didn't have my stupid phone because it wasn't charged. And Travis's phone was downstairs, and I didn't know his roommates, I didn't think were home at the time. So, like, I was just trying to think if there's any way I could call 911 or call or get out of the house. There's no way out except down the stairs. His windows they're 2 stories for one, and they were hard to get to. He had stuff here and blinds and screens and window coverings and, I mean, from the outside. And
Okay.
I just, she was over him, and I just rushed her and I pushed her, and there's
what?
Travis was bleeding everywhere.
What was she doing to him? Because he'd been shot at this time, right?
Yeah, but he was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
He was still conscious even. Like,
Still talking.
oh, he wasn't talking or saying much, but I could tell. He was breathing. He seemed like he was breathing calmly, I think. He wasn't like, he was just there. I
Mm-hmm.
really remember. It's such a blur.
Okay. And so you did what now? You pushed her?
She's a little bit bigger than me, not really in size, but height. And
what happened?
Oh, it didn't really deter her.
Did she have any weapons on her at all?
Yeah.
What'd she have?
I thought she was the one with the gun, but maybe she had the gun, but he had a gun. So either there were two guns or one gun, I don't know.
Well, she's the one who shot him, though, right? She was the one here, and he was back here at that time when you saw them.
I would think so, because, I mean, I don't know. I got hit here somewhere. I don't know. Because when I woke up, he was screaming. And I saw her at this point, like right here, and walking either back. She must have been walking back this way. And I saw him sort of following. And that's when he's like, finished. And I started running this way, and he stopped me, and then he left the room for a couple of minutes.
Why did he leave?
Maybe just, I don't know.
Okay. So
He's
what
like,
happened
"Don't
after?
you
What
know?"
happened after you pushed her?
I got Travis, and he wasn't like standing up really. He wasn't really doing much, and I was trying to get him, and she came back. I got him kind of far, like right here. She came back, and he was starting to just get weaker and weaker. And this guy came back in, and she said that they needed to do me too, because it was there. And he's like, no, that's not why we're here. And he had my purse, which I had on the dresser here prior, somewhere.
And what did they do after this? After you guys reached this? Just try to stick with the incident, so I don't know what was going on.
She came after me, and he stopped her.
Okay.
And she didn't get me.
How was she gonna get you? Did she have a weapon?
She had a knife.
Okay. You said she had a gun before.
I don't know if she had a gun. I think, because I am guessing, I know that he had a gun. I don't know if she had a gun or not.
So she was basically the aggressor.
Yeah, unless he took a shot too. I don't know.
But it seems like from what you're telling me, she was the aggressive one and he was the more passive.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely aggression as far as, I mean, I don't know what you define aggression by, but like there was definitely a sternness, and I wasn't like just free to walk out of there. Like, hey, it's cool, you know, and it wasn't anything like that.
Then what happened?
They had an argument back and forth, and she wanted to kill him, and he didn't.
Why didn't they kill you? Just because he said?
He said that's not what we're here for.
They were very focused.
There is so many. I was trying not to interrupt, but God, the more I listen to it, the stupider it gets. So first of all, they walk. It's like a cartoon. They walk in and say, "Who is that? He was supposed to be alone. Who is that? What is going on here?" They saw her car. Why would they be shocked that someone was there? There was a car in the driveway. I imagine they could hear their voices if they're ninjaing around downstairs. It's just so silly. And then Jodi had to try to make herself the hero and say that she like pushed the girl or she rushed her or whatever she said. If she had a knife, why was she asking the man's permission to kill Jodi if she wanted her dead so bad? Why didn't she just kill her? Or why didn't she attack her when she pushed her, when she was holding the knife?
Right.
It just it's so far from the realm of like natural human behavior. It's like, Jodi, are you an alien? Have you not
Yes.
been observing humans long enough? Because they don't act like that. They don't
Yeah.
talk like that.
Right,
And then
exactly.
she said, it always makes me laugh when the detective said, so was she the aggressive one? Like, was she the aggressor? And what he was saying, obviously, is that the man didn't want you dead. She wanted you dead. Are you saying she was kind of behind this whole thing? And Jodi's answer was, well, there was definitely a sternness. So the murderer is being very stern with her.
Yes, exactly. There was the one who was wearing the pants, and then the other one was just following directions. And
Hmm.
the one wearing the pants was the woman who obviously is going to want Jodi dead. She's
She's
hot.
probably jealous of her. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. And of course, the guy doesn't want Jodi dead. He wants to give her a chance to live.
Hmm.
And he was also the most focused one as well. He was the woman was a little bit of a loose cannon. You
Hmm.
know, she's out there flinging knives and guns around, and he's got to keep her calm. Like, we're here for
Yeah.
one thing. Yeah.
He also went into another room for several minutes
Right.
for
He's like,
who
hang on, I'll
knows
be right
why.
back.
Yeah, I gotta pee. I'm just gonna go use the bathroom real quick. You keep an eye
Yeah.
on this situation here.
Right, right, exactly. I know. What's weird too is why was she over Travis? Travis was a big guy. And
Hmm.
there's the, obviously if Jodi's saying this woman is like the same size of her, she'd be pretty small. So why
Hmm.
was it that the guy was left to tend to Jodi and she was there making sure that Travis wasn't up to any funny business?
Yeah, of course. Travis could even, according to Jodi, he was still conscious. He was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say he couldn't overpower this woman? And what was the man doing?
He was
The
looking
story,
he was studying Jodi's registration so that he
right?
could
He was
find her
committing it to
family.
memory.
Yeah.
Hmm. He
God.
was writing it down, and that he's like, "Hey, do you have a pen? Because I'm gonna write this in my hand. So I
Yeah.
really don't want to forget your address."
Yes, exactly. It's interesting too, the way that she's sitting. She's kind of, it's almost like she's doodling, with that
Hmm.
paper. She's kind of like, yeah, she's just kind of telling a story, and the detective's trying to ask her these questions, and she's not really paying attention. It almost seems
Hmm.
like, and she's not looking at him. She's not really expressive with her hand. She's just resting her head on her hand.
Yeah, I
Just
think all
stares
her
focused.
focus is going into this lie because she's kind of been caught a couple times, and he'll keep bringing up the inconsistencies. Like, first, she said the woman had a gun and she must have shot Travis. And
Mm-hmm.
then he asked if the woman had a weapon, and she's like, I don't know. I think she had a gun. And then he asked again, and she said, oh yeah, she had a knife.
Yes.
She totally had a knife.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Did they say why they were there?
No, but it was obvious they were there for him. They didn't say why.
So it seemed like they knew him, obviously.
Yeah, but he didn't seem to know them. I mean, he was a little out of it. Plus, they had masks on anyway. But he didn't express any kind of recognition.
I could talk.
He was able to say, "Go get help," and at one point he said, "Go to my neighbor's house." Go to my neighbor's house. So that if you, there was just no way.
Did
out
you
of
see
it.
them hurt him anymore? Other than a gunshot?
She had a knife, and I don't know. He was bleeding everywhere. It was like when she rushed me afterward, or she came back, I rushed her, but she kind of came back at me.
Why didn't she
Travis
hurt you?
and I were right about here, maybe? I don't know. Halfway? I don't know. And there was a little bit of a struggle with her and I. I was so scared. I'm not a person who fights. I'm not a person who knows really about self-defense. I took some classes once, but it was like 8 years ago, and I've never been consistent with it.
Okay.
So I wasn't sure. I just knew I had to hold on to her hands because she had a knife.
What hand did she have?
Okay, so she's gonna fist fight a woman with a knife, and that woman isn't going to use the knife.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they just kind of tussle around for a bit. Jody's totally unscathed, and then they're both just like, "Oh, enough of that now. Let's."
Yes,
I don't want to
exactly.
like break my nails, do you? Okay, let's stop.
You're too strong.
That's not how fights go. They don't, like, if you attack someone. Sorry.
Whoops, that's okay. Yeah, if you attack someone, it's not going to be as calm as she's making it sound. That she was just holding her hands and they're kind of wrestling around a little bit. You know, neither one of them is making any progress. They're just kind of standing there holding hands while there's this knife in this woman's hand and nothing happens.
Yeah, and it wouldn't just end like
Right.
without something, especially if there's a knife involved, and this woman is willing to. She wants to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. Is to she's trying to
Right. She
convince
wants
her.
to kill her. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean that
and
would have been a perfect excuse to.
it would have been,
If
and the guy wasn't even in the room.
that's another thing I don't understand. Why did she need permission
Yeah.
from the dude to kill Jodi if she had a weapon?
Yeah.
It was a team effort, I guess.
Right, I guess.
She had it in this hand, but a little to her right, I guess. So
All right. And what happened? So you didn't see her hurt him anymore. He was just bleeding. Where did he end up?
he when I tried getting him here, he said go get help. And when I came back this way, pushed her, and he said go to my neighbors, go to my neighbors. And I wasn't like no, but I wasn't gonna leave. If I couldn't leave without him, I was trying. I felt stupid already for trying to run this way. I was gonna go to a phone. And he was like, I just said, come on, come on. You know, he was naked, but I didn't care. Just come on. And he's like, I can't. I said, come on. He's like, I can't feel my legs. And they wouldn't let me be by him.
Were you clothed at that time, or were you also nude?
Yeah, I was clothed.
Are those the pants that I showed you the other day on that camera?
I don't think I have pants like that. I don't know. I've got a lot of clothes. I'm trying to remember the clothes that I took to that trip. Oh, I do have another pair of striped pants, and they're gray though with a black stripe. I don't think they were those. I don't know.
Okay. So what happened after that? They had a conversation about killing you two, and then they decided not to.
She
Go from
really,
that
really,
point.
really wanted to.
What happened then?
From there, they were. I was here, like his armoire or whatever it's called with his TV was here, and I was right about here, and I had to stay here. And I was calling his name, and they were like, "Shut the hell up." And I don't know if I was crying. It was all just like, it was so weird. He was going through my purse, and he pulled out my wallet, and he just
Yeah,
took
that's
some
what he was
cash.
doing in the other room.
I had, though, my cash stashed in the jeans I had worn, like a good chunk of it, not like $80, stashed in 420s in the back of my jeans pockets, which were in my backpack. But I had some cash in here, not all of it though.
Okay.
So he took that, and
And what happened?
he was,
What was she doing?
she was like right here that time.
Doing what? He's over here taking stuff from your wallet, from your purse. You're here. She's down the hall.
She wasn't far. It's not a far distance. There was part of me, I think, that was just, I was sitting and I was just like, I didn't know what to say. Like, would you beg for your life? Do you say, who are you guys? I'm powerless because I don't have any way to stop them. They were just more powerful.
Well, continue
So
on.
I
No one was
Sisters-
saying anything. Travis wasn't saying anything.
Mm-mm.
Who even knows what he's doing? He's not doing it. He's just sitting there. Maybe he's watching TV. And the woman as well is just standing there. And again, this is not how things happen in real life.
No.
Everybody would be doing something or saying something, but all the focus is just on the man because that's the only story she's created. So everybody else is just doing nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. What I was thinking while she's telling all this is the longest murder.
I was just thinking that too. How long were they in the house? Because every minute they're in that house is another minute that they could get caught, that a neighbor could hear or see something, somebody else could show up, anything. No one's just going to hang out there.
Right.
And like, oh, look, let's take a look in Jodi's wallet. Oh, she's got some cash, $80. Let me count it real quick. And I'm going to take
exactly.
that.
All she has is
They wouldn't-
20s. Boo.
I mean, they wouldn't be just like standing around taking their time and discussing it. Like, oh, she really, really, really wanted to kill me. Well, she probably thought you were annoying, Jodi. Who could blame her?
Right, exactly. Yeah. I know. This woman who's supposed to be super aggressive, and they were there to do one thing, right? Why haven't they done it?
That's another great question, because according to Jodi, that's all she witnessed. She saw that Travis was bleeding. She assumes he was shot because she didn't see anybody stab him or mutilate him, and he was stabbed like a million times.
Yes.
So that all must have happened after Jodi left. So she is trying to say that they allowed her to leave while they were still there.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't immediately call the police and say, they're there now, go get them. I mean, how absurd.
Well, her phone was dead.
Okay, go knock on the neighbor's door. Go 3 houses down and use their phone.
I know. It's so crazy the way that this whole story is kind of like unfolding in her mind as she is talking, unfortunately, because it doesn't make any sense. And I will point out that when we get to her letter, she tells a little bit of a different version. So especially with regard to the tussle between her and this woman while she's holding the knife in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a little bit different.
She's more heroic in the letter story, right?
She is, in a sense, but also the woman is stomping at her feet. So she had hurt her feet because she didn't have shoes on, but the woman did, who had an obvious advantage because she had shoes. So yeah,
that's what I would do. If I was fighting someone and I wanted to kill them and I had a knife, and they had no weapons and they were barefoot, I'd just stomp on their feet and be like, haha, I bet I broke one of your toenails.
Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you think about
exactly.
that?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So from there, what did he do?
Um, she was, I don't know what she was doing, but she was arguing with him and talking with him and saying,
What were they saying?
she's like, it wasn't like super yelling, it was kind of like hushed but intense, like, you need to da-da-da, shut up, it's not over here, things like that. And he grabbed my wallet and he was looking through it. He just took the cash, put it in his pocket. He got my registration out of my wallet, and he said,
What do you say?
he said, you must be that bitch from California. And he was going like this with my registration, and he said, if you ever say anything about this, he said they'll do to my family the same way and me.
Listen to
And
how
no one cares so much
hysterical
about
she
me
is.
at that point.
Yeah, she
He
looked
said,
terrified.
you need to leave.
That's another example, though, of her just summarizing what he said instead of repeating word for word what he said. If somebody threatens your family, they're staring in your face. They just shot your boyfriend, your friend, or whatever, and they say it 3 times. If you ever, ever, ever tell anyone what you saw, you're going to remember those words, right?
Right.
I would. I
imagine.
think, yeah. But Jodi couldn't come up with a good enough quote quickly, so she summarized it and said, well, he said they'd do to my family what they did to Travis. What did they do to Travis? You haven't even told us what they did to Travis.
No. Nope, exactly. She remembers how much money she had and he took it.
Mm-hmm.
And, where it was in her pocket and her jeans in the bag. But who knows what they said?
It'd be interesting if Jodi still has the registration that she claims he took out of her purse and looked at, because that would mean he put it back in her purse and said, here, take this. I don't want you to get caught driving without it. So you take this.
That's right. No traffic offenses, young lady.
Right. Because I bet you we know this story just came on the fly. So it's not like she could plan beforehand and destroy it and be like, yeah, he took it. And that's how he had my address, because it was on the registration. I'm sure it's in her purse at the police station.
I think that it is, because I'm going off of what's in the letter too, and I think it does mention that he puts it back. And she was able
polite.
Wasn't it though? I know, it's very tidy.
He should have put the cash back too.
Well, I mean, he's not the best person.
Yeah, that's true.
You say anything, you act like anything happened. He's all, I'm giving you one chance. And she said she's gonna rat us off, she's gonna say something, and he was like, shut up. He's like, you get one chance.
Is that when you left?
So leave now. And part of me didn't want to leave. Travis was still alive. He was still, he wasn't moving a lot, but he was still alive. I could see that he was still.
Did you leave at that point?
I left the room.
And where did you go?
I went downstairs, but I didn't have all my clothes.
What did you leave there?
Well, Travis said I had some stuff there. I didn't see what it was. He said it was in his closet. So they were clothes of mine. But all I had was my purse and my backpack. I left those, and I went outside.
Mm-hmm. And then what'd you do?
I wanted to get help. I just wanted to get help. He told me that if I didn't say anything, then I would be, that I wouldn't even live to regret it, but that I would regret it.
No idea why they did this to him. You have to know something about it.
Trying to think what else was said.
Anything that clicked in your mind. Because why would anybody do this to him? He does nothing but help people. Everybody likes him. Doesn't owe people money. Don't people like that anyway.
No.
He doesn't get involved in things he's not supposed to get involved in. He doesn't do drugs. Doesn't seem like a robbery.
No, it doesn't.
Burglary.
I was wondering if they took my stuff to make it look that way, but then he told me to leave. And, you know, Travis usually keeps his cash in his wallet.
So you didn't see what happened to him then?
I just saw that.
Did you get hurt at all? You said you were fighting with her.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
She got me.
Where at?
My hand.
Let me see. Where at?
You
Can you
actually
show
can't
me?
see it. If you look in my finger isn't the same though.
Let me see. Where did it get cut?
It was conveniently it was right on the crease.
Right there on the crease.
Can you see? Oh, it's kind of a purpler color, I guess.
This one here,
Same
right
kind
there.
of this.
Yeah, right on the crease.
Well, there's a vein on this one, maybe. I don't know.
Is this one here?
Yeah.
So a slice there.
Yeah.
Just a small one? Or was it pretty deep?
I don't know how deep it was, but my finger hurt for a while.
Okay, so like right in that crease that you, right across both of them?
Not my middle finger. It cut this one a little, but not as much. This is where it really went. I don't know how it happened that all these other fingers were missed, but this one, maybe that, I don't know. This one, like I still can't close this finger all the way. It's as close as it goes, whereas this one goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my CTR ring used to fit both fingers, and I can't get it on this finger anymore.
So that cut pretty deep then?
I guess if you feel it, squeeze it, just feels like bone, like there's nothing abnormal there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like my CTR ring slides right on this finger, and it used to slide right in off this finger, and I just can't fit a ring on here.
Okay.
It's a bigger size.
If it feels normal, why did she have him squeeze it? She feel it, squeeze it. See, it just feels normal. Like there's
Right.
nothing wrong with it. Then why? What are you trying to prove? She's so weird.
Who knows? Yeah, exactly.
What about this here? What's that from?
That's my cat.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. She scratches me a lot.
So when you were told to leave, you left? Did you get in your car and drive away?
I always have my keys. My keys are on. I'll have a little clip on them, and I do that because I'm very, very spacey.
Did you see any other cars in the driveway or on the street? Any vehicle descriptions you can give us?
No, not that I don't think his roommate's around.
And you just left? You didn't run to the neighbors, you didn't try calling. You knew they were in his house. You had time to run to a neighbor, why didn't you do that?
I was really scared. I was really, freaked out of my mind.
Okay. I don't believe you. I came in here hoping that you would tell me the truth. And this is not the truth, Jodi.
This is all I know.
Does not make any sense. Does not make any sense.
That's all I know.
Nothing changes for me.
I didn't think it would. I feel responsible because I feel that I could have done more. I feel that I should have gotten help. I feel that I should have been stronger.
You feel responsible because you did this.
I did not
Jodi,
kill
you
Travis.
did. You did.
Why would you now feel like you should have done more? You should have gotten help. If all of this time you haven't been saying anything because you're scared for your family.
Right. If it was justified then it should be justified now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing you can say that'll change my mind at this point. This is an elaborate story which does not make any sense. Two people come in, first two white males, and then later you change it to...
No, I don't think I ever said white male.
Yes, you did.
When?
At the beginning of the story.
Oh, it was one.
And then you change it, oh no, one's a female.
Oh, one was female the whole time. I said I wasn't sure at first, but you could tell by their build.
Okay. It doesn't make any sense to me. And there's no reason anybody would go after him. There's nothing in his past, nothing in his, at that time that he was going through that would cause somebody to do that to him. And the fact that they left you alive and let you go, that never happens. Why would anybody do that? Why would somebody risk the chance of getting caught, just letting you run out the front door when they're upstairs in this house, killing somebody? Knowing that you could just run across the street and tell somebody. It doesn't make any sense. Does it make any sense to you? It doesn't, does it?
No, they argued about it. It doesn't make sense. I thought for sure I was dead.
I was hoping that you were going to be completely truthful with me today, but obviously that's not the case. I know you were there. I know you had some situation go on with him that got out of control. And the cut that you're showing me there, it's pretty obvious how that happened. I've seen that before. That happens when a knife slips through someone's hand because of blood. It's slippery and it cuts. That's what that is. I've done this for a long time. And this is the most far-fetched story I've ever heard. And it's not going to help you. Is that how you want to leave this?
I just don't want my family to get hurt.
Your family will not get hurt. They will not get hurt. The way you're hurting your family is by not coming forward and telling me the truth. There is a reason why you did this, and you just refused to tell me why. Maybe because you are cold and calculated, and you went there intentionally to do this, and you're ashamed of it. You're so ashamed that you will come up with a story to try to hide it.
I was there that day, but I didn't take Travis's life.
You haven't convinced me. I hope you can convince the jury, but I doubt it very seriously. Because there's no evidence of anybody else being there. Nobody. still not done looking at all the evidence. We still have other things to check in the lab and other blood swabs and other things like that. And every time they call me and tell me, hey, we've checked this, points at Jodi. Hey, we've checked that, that points at Jodi. Nothing points at anybody else. Do you want to be truthful with me? If not, we can just end it now. And we'll just leave it the way it is.
I know that it's obvious I was there.
No, it's obvious that you committed a crime, that you hurt
There's
Travis.
no reason
No,
for me to hurt him.
it's not like that. I know that you did this, and you refuse to tell me why.
There's no
You
reason.
refuse to tell me why. There's no reason somebody else would come in and do this to him. There's no motive whatsoever. We haven't found any.
What is my motive?
Jealousy, anger, fear, if you're being alone, angry at him for not keeping you in his life. I don't know. That's why I'm trying to figure it out. There are so many motives with you. Too many. We know you had a 25 auto. You guys reported it stolen. Recovered the ammunition and it matches. We recovered a shell casing. It matches the ammunition. Prints, your blood, your hair, the motive.
There's
You
no
were there.
motive. I wasn't jealous of anything. I was a little bit envious that he was going to Cancun, but that wasn't the reason. Like, I could go to Cancun. It's not cheap to go to Mexico. I mean, it's not expensive to go to
I
Mexico.
know. You were probably standing above him when he was in the shower. And you shot him in the head.
I was kneeling down beside him looking at the
Jodi.
pictures.
And then you had a knife. And you stabbed him. Several times. Yes, you did. Jodi.
She's just staring at him.
Tell me the truth. Please. Or if you want, we can stop here. It doesn't matter. You've given me so much already. Why stop? Do you want to? Do you want to continue? Do you want to tell me the truth? What did you do with the gun,
I never had it in my possession.
Jodi? You did.
Never. I don't have it.
Yeah, you don't have it. You know, people say that when they know of the gun. They've seen the gun, they touched the gun. You don't have it.
I saw the gun.
Yeah. Because you had it before. You've touched it. You've used it. I know you have.
I don't think I've ever even fired a gun. I've done bows and arrows, but not guns and water guns, yes, but not a real gun. And the gun that I got on Friday was never used.
So you're going to continue to tell me that you didn't do this to him?
Did not kill Travis.
I believe you did. I truly believe you did. And there's nothing showing that anybody else did this. Nothing. I've been in so many scenes and so many investigations, and there's always some type of evidence left behind. no matter how careful somebody is. And in this case, there was evidence. Not pointing at anybody else, just you. And that's what I have to go by. And that's what my report's going to say.
Okay. I'm just, if I had planned to hurt him in any way, I'm not the brightest person, but I don't think I could stab him. I think I would have to shoot him continuously until he was dead, if that were my intention. And again, I bring up the gloves again, but I would have to wear gloves, because, I'm not too worried about prints. I guess they're all over anyway, but I would never stab him. If I had it in me anywhere to kill him, the least I could have done was make it humane as possible, or quick, or something, I feel like killing is humane, so to speak. I don't mean it that way, I just mean...
I know what you mean.
He was still alive.
Yes, he was. He was alive for a while. And I knew that he'd been shot first, and he was still alive, and possibly tried to get away, maybe even tried to fight back.
I think he was in shock. I just remember waking up and...
But you didn't see him fight back or anything, did you? He just kind of collapsed there and...
No, he was here, outside of his shower.
Yeah. And then you pulled him this way, and you tried to get away with him, but then he couldn't go any further.
He said he couldn't move.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't feel his
And that's
legs.
the last place you saw him. You said that he stopped and kind of collapsed right there.
No.
She was standing there, and he was over here, and it just doesn't make any sense.
He was still, able to move. He was all, I guess he was all conscious up here, sort of, still. But he wasn't, on his leg, or on his knees, or on his feet. He wasn't walking.
It's crawling.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if when I got him from there, he was sort of using his legs, but he wasn't standing up.
Yeah. If you're going to continue on that route, I don't think I'm going to go any further.
I don't remember what time I left, but...
I gave you an opportunity. This was the only opportunity. Okay, and you just, yeah, you gave me the information that you were there, but I knew you were there. And then you throw some story in that is not plausible. It just doesn't make any sense with the evidence that was there at the house. Doesn't make any evidence at all, or any sense at all. That evidence tells a story, and nowhere in that evidence does that story that you told me match. It doesn't match. Is that how you want to leave it? You want to stop here, and that's how you want to leave it?
I know that I didn't take Travis's life. And I know that you don't.
I know you did.
Look, I know you don't believe me.
I don't believe you.
As long as I am here, someone else is happy that it's not them.
So you're just going to let these two people get away with it?
There's not even any way to identify them. One was male, one was female. They were taller than me. Not by a whole lot.
Okay. Are you ready to go back?
Yeah, I guess I'd still like to say something to his family, but I don't think I have anything that could bring them comfort.
Okay.
Maybe I could write them a letter.
Well, you always have that opportunity to do that, so.
Would they receive it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't mean would they accept it, I mean if it made it to them, would they get it? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't have their I'm not going to provide you their address.
I know his
They know where
grandmother's
you're going to be, and if they want to make contact with you, they can do that.
That's fine, I know his grandmother's address, and I guess if I could mail it, but
Okay.
I don't know if that's something.
Well, let me see if I can get someone to take it back. You're absolutely sure you want to leave it like this?
I don't know what else to say.
That's it then. Okay, the next time I see you will probably be in Phoenix. Is that cool?
I have a choice.
Well, you're going there regardless, so it doesn't matter. But I was hoping that we could resolve this here. And it's obvious by what you're telling me, you don't want to resolve this here.
I just can't.
Well, at the beginning you told me that you couldn't tell me because you couldn't tell me who they were because you didn't want your family to get hurt.
I can't
Okay.
let my family.
And now you're telling me you don't know who they are, and therefore it doesn't matter. So there's nothing you can tell me.
I can give you the
So
best
many
description.
inconsistencies that I don't even want to deal with right now.
Okay, I just don't want my
Okay.
family to get hurt.
Okay? They won't get hurt. You're hurting them right now by not telling me the truth. That's what you're doing. Okay?
And that is it.
We did it.
We did it. Can you believe it? It
I
only
feel
took
like
several
Detective
months.
I know. I feel like Detective Flores right now. He was so done at
Yeah.
the end of that. She's trying to go off and talk about other shit, writing a letter
Yeah.
to Travis's family, and he's like, I don't know. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
You're done. Go
Yeah.
back to the jail now.
Yeah, exactly.
I've
And
heard enough.
one of the very last things she said, I just want to protect my family. From what? You can't tell them anything.
Hmm. Yeah. How would she be protecting her family? She did the thing that she wasn't supposed to do
Right.
to
Exactly.
keep her family safe.
Yeah, so now is she saying that she has additional information, but she's not going to give that because she wants to protect her family? She's just blurting out things at that point.
Yeah. Well, then she went from, there's no way to even identify them. One was a man, one was a woman. They were a little bit taller than me. That's it. That's all I know. And then she goes to, well, I can give you like as detailed of a description as I can. Why haven't you done that already? If you
Yeah.
could do that, why didn't you?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Because
Oh
you
my
hadn't made
God.
it up yet.
No, and she has more time to make up some of those details because again, her letter tells a little bit of a different story.
Hmm.
You know, so there's other details in there that she hasn't said here. So we will find that out next time. So here's what we're going to do. Our next video, we are going to talk about this letter. We're going to go through some of the main points of it. It's 18 pages long.
Of course
It's,
it is.
yeah, I mean, so just imagine just babbling that you've heard Jodi doing. She does all of that in writing as well. So, so we're going to go over some main points. We do have somebody who's recording it for us, though, the entire 18 pages. And it's going to be great to listen to in its entirety. But we're going in the video, we're just going to go over the main points because I think just having that stand alone as just a video itself with the reading of the letter is going to really bring home just how ridiculous it is, how crazy it sounds. So we're going to do that. And then also, a couple of videos ago, we had asked for some people to share their experiences of it being in the interrogation chair, and we have received some of those. So we want to talk about those, talk about your experiences. So thank you so much for sharing those. If anyone else would like to share, please shoot us an email. So that's going to be in the About section of our channel. And yeah, so we've received a couple of other questions too via email that I think will be interesting to discuss. So we're going to kind of wrap up the interrogation portion and then we're going to move on. So
To the trial.
yeah,
I can't wait.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be the epic battle. Is getting through that trial, but it's gonna happen. We're determined.
Yeah, it'll take some time, but
Yes.
we'll get through it.
We will absolutely get through it. We are here for the long haul. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And until next time, take care.